What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. Hope you're all doing well. I am your host, Justin Harold, as always, and with me, my co-host, Jeff Santa. This is episode 31 of the Cleveland Pulse podcast, and today we will be talking about the preview for the prime time Monday night game between the Browns and the Ravens. And to be honest with you, this is probably the most important game of this season. It's a measuring stick, I would say. One that could have been said last week and probably was, but another step forward in the season and another step for the Browns to prove themselves. But Jeff, how you doing, my guy?
Good, buddy. I'm just hanging out. But you're right. Huge game. This is probably, I feel like people have been talking about for the past couple seasons that the AFC North is becoming hyper competitive. At least three good teams, Cincinnati. We'll leave them out. Whatever. They got a good future, though. But this week of AFC North football is starting tomorrow. Browns fans, we do have to wait till Monday, which is a little weird. I'm not really sure about that. I mean, I'll take the primetime games, back-to-back weeks, I believe. So that's cool. But
Yep.
starting tomorrow with the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is probably one of the most interesting weeks of AFC North football that me and you have seen in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly going to be the way that the season has kind of like turned in the last few weeks has been kind of stellar for the Browns. Mostly, good things for the Browns. Obviously, they came off of that huge win against the Titans where the offense and the defense looked phenomenal in the first half. Didn't play quite the same game because of the circumstances at that point in the second half and made the box score a little bit closer than it should have been. But yeah, I mean, they've been stringing together wins ever since the bye week started. And players have been somewhat healthy for the most part. But on the other side of it, the Ravens have been struggling. I mean, they barely pull out, or not barely. I'm sorry. I'm talking about they barely lost to the Steelers, but before that, they had lost three straight games. So, they lost to the Patriots, they lost to the Titans, Steelers, and then last Tuesday they beat the Cowboys 34-17. Um, they're interesting. It seems like they've been on a downswing. Um, they've really been kind of. There was so much talk about like Lamar was going on about people were calling out their plays before they go and everything on offense. So it'll be interesting. They had COVID problems. Lamar came back, played decently enough this Tuesday, just good enough, I guess. But it really does seem that they're kind of in a mixed bag situation with what's going on with their season. You know, they lose this game, they're in kind of like a crisis mode, but if they win, they're kind of back in the driver's seat and doing what they want to do.
Yes, totally agree. Just looking at the remaining schedule, ours is not extremely difficult. It shouldn't be. We still have Pittsburgh week 17, which is definitely harder than any of the remaining opponents for the Baltimore Ravens, solely because Pittsburgh is now pretty hard pressed for the one seed. They're probably going to have to, unless Kansas City loses two straight, they're going to have to play everybody week 17. It's looking like.
Yep.
But you're right. The season is shaping up very, very interestingly. I think, early hot take, if everything stays the same, winner of this game probably takes second place in the AFC North, unless there's back-to-back crazy upsets. Ravens are at First Energy this week. Then they're at home versus the Jaguars. They're at home versus the Giants, and then they have to go down and play Cincinnati, in Cincinnati. So, they could go four straight if they win this week. Potentially, you'd really expect them to. You'd really for them to be heavily favored. But we have a huge opportunity to keep going with this winning streak, and then we have back-to-back weeks at MetLife Stadium. Against two teams that are just not as good as us. That's a plain fact. This Ravens team, kind of unlucky for us, but that's kind of how the season's been going for every team is with COVID and stuff like that. So they're pretty much having 100% full health, everybody, for COVID. They have a couple of people on the injury report, which are people to watch out for. But, we could have got them last week or 2 weeks ago and basically played their backups.
Yeah, and I mean, all that put aside, I mean, just kind of want to go back to that point that you made about the next four games for both teams essentially. You know, ours is the Ravens, the Giants, the Jets, and then the Steelers, considerably harder than what
Mhm.
the Ravens will have. But if they lose this week to us, there is a good chance that they could lose to the Giants. The Giants is one of those teams right now that
Yes.
they're playing a lot better than expected. They are kind of on the upswing. So are a lot of the teams in the NFC, in that division in the NFC East. So, they're competing for a playoff spot. So they're going to be going out
Mhm.
all out for the next couple of games. But the Ravens, at worst, in my mind, could go uh, 9-7.
They're probably still a playoff team regardless, even if we do beat them this week.
I
And
I don't know.
I think
There's a
they
chance that they're
are.
not.
I mean, if they lose to us and really spiral and lose another game, then if they lose two more, if they lose us and another one, yes, that's going to be hard pressed. I'm not really sure who their wins are or who their losses are even. They have two losses to the Steelers, so that doesn't really help their AFC record, which I know is pretty big at this point in the season. But they do play the Giants at home and they do play the Jaguars at home. I mean, we have to go play at the Giants. That's plus us playing Pittsburgh. That's your two biggest discrepancies in schedule remaining. Home field advantage is big. I mean, you even saw us go down to Jacksonville and falter a little bit. Winning road games in the National Football League is difficult, no matter who you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that it stands right now, I mean, the Ravens are currently the ninth seed in the AFC, which is crazy. And my dad, crazy dude, has like he had at some point in the season when it was like the Browns were outside of the playoff picture just like because of losing to the Raiders and such. He
Right.
went ahead and made like a chart with the Ravens, the Colts, the Titans, the um, Dolphins, and the Raiders and us, six teams. And he like played out like all the situations. He's like has like all the games that they have planned out, what games they should win, what games they should lose. And I don't think he or I even had them at 7-5 and us at 9-3, which is insane. And 4-game winning streak for us, 1-game winning streak for them. We're carrying the momentum, and the way that we played that last game, if we could play that first half for 4 quarters, I don't see us losing this game. Honestly, I come into this game thinking the Browns are favored. It's at home. The Ravens are in short week. I don't know. It seems like everything's aligning, and I think the big story mainly will be, what kind of team will we get from the Ravens more so than the Browns?
Right. I agree to that to some extent, but really at the end of the day, they've gone through some very bad COVID situations the last 2 weeks. So it's almost at a point where you commend them for, working through that, but it's also when is it going to be the last straw? When is the back of the camel going to break? Because their defense has played actually very well.
Yeah.
With boatloads of people out, only give up 19 points to the Steelers, which that could be argued as good, or is the Steelers offense really all that? They had some COVID problems as well, and then they only give up 17 points to the Cowboys, which is not that impressive, but still, dealing with COVID, dealing with everything, this is a considerably better defense that we're playing compared to the Tennessee Titans. We have the edge of being at home. We have the edge of being rest. So I would agree with you. We're the favorite. We should be the favorite. We're better than them. I think we are. I think that's safe to say. I don't think that's a hot take. The Cleveland Browns right now are better than the Baltimore Ravens. Our defense isn't.
Yeah.
But we showed last week that generate takeovers, and that's basically your strategy for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, if you're going to generate turnovers and win the turnover battle, don't turn the ball over, take the ball away from them. That's your key, because me and you both know that our defense is not spectacular. Like, we're not going to give up, we're not going to hold the Baltimore Ravens to 10 points probably. So, but I mean, if we get timely interceptions, timely, balls are loose on the ground, fumbles, I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah, and the interesting part about this and to think about it is just I watched the Titans game and we went into it. Me and you were like, the team that wins is going to rush for the most yards, or is going to rush for
Mm-hmm.
an
You got to think
extended
about
amount
this
of yards.
differently now.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing. I was wondering. I mean, what are the chances the Browns could game plan around Lamar and stopping the run of the Baltimore Ravens? Because, you get them into that situation where Lamar has to throw. And listen,
He's
I'm
not looked
gonna
great.
I'm going back to before my week one lapse in judgment, mainly because the week one game is just awful. And I kind of just want to forget about it. And I kind of have, just because of everything that's been going on with how well the Browns have been playing. Um, I I still just don't know that he's a good passer. The Browns were awful week one. Yes, a lot of things were bad. We were exposed. Our defense is still not great. Even worse with no Denzel Ward this game. A lot of people are gonna say that, like, I don't expect Lamar to play badly against us, but
No.
I don't expect him to beat us in the air. It's kind of like if the Titans aren't beating you on the ground, they're not winning that game. If the Ravens are beating
Mhm.
you on the ground, they're winning that game. But if you got to force Lamar into the situation of throwing balls and everything, I don't know. I'm really good with how this team could potentially game plan, put the five down lineman again. I think it really just kind of works out. Joe Woods actually had a very good plan of attack last week, and he needs to have the same kind of game plan going into this week, or not the same type, but have the same mindset of setting up a game plan for Lamar and the run defense, run offense, whatever you want to call it.
Right, and that's kind of what worries me, but very well said, of course. But the thing that worries me is it seems like we get like 3 turnovers in one game, and then there was a couple games there where we didn't get anything.
True.
So it's kind of in bunches with our defense, which is not a bad thing because if you're getting 3 turnovers, with our offense, you're winning the game. So I mean, that's awesome. That's a great point. That's a good sign, and I 1,000% agree. Hats off to Joe Woods last week. Who cares how many points we gave up? You win the game. You make Derrick Henry fumble. Awesome.
Something he
What?
doesn't do very often.
No, that he didn't do for 100+ snaps on the field or 100+. I don't even know what it was. Some crazy stat. 100+ rushes before that. He didn't fumble.
Yeah, and
So
I'm going to the well right now. I'm just gonna go and look up Lamar's stats for this season because I honestly don't know how he's doing. He's got 2,000 yards passing, 17 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in a
an above average year.
63.0. Yeah, I mean,
He doesn't
listen,
turn the ball over that much. I mean, he's truthfully, it's weird to say because they're very not alike. They're on two sides of the spectrum. He's kind of like Baker this year, not doing anything crazy. He's not playing MVP caliber football like we know he can. He's not really turning the ball over. I think they might have the same. That might be the same. They both have 7 interceptions,
I'm
maybe.
looking it up right now, but yes, I do believe that Baker also has 7 interceptions.
What worries me about this matchup is that we have not done well spying the quarterback on defense, and we have not done well containing a running quarterback. I thought Tannehill was going to be a little bit more mobile against us, which he was not, which was a good sign. But you would hope and think that that's the game plan is just defend Lamar Jackson scrambling and rolling and running from you. That's the whole plan on defense. Hit him hard.
Yeah, and essentially looking here, Baker and Lamar have had a very similar season, except for the fact that Lamar did miss a game. He's behind Baker in like 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. They do have the same interception amount, but the QBR is an interesting thing. Baker is at 12th and Lamar is at 20th. And,
Mhm.
it's just kind of the efficiency that they play with. And to go back to the, interceptions, Baker hasn't thrown an interception in the past
Five
four, five
games.
games. Yeah.
5 games.
Um, Lamar, however, has or thrown an interception, um, at least one interception in the last 3 games,
Mm,
and threw two against Pittsburgh Steelers 5 weeks ago. So his interceptions are coming as of late, which is a good thing. And I think, you know, 12 of 17, 17 of 29, 24 of 34, 19 of 23. He's not beating you in the air. He's not beating a lot of these teams in the air. But rushing wise, this man has 94, 51, 55, 58, 65. I mean, he will run the ball, but I think, if you stop the general offense of the Ravens from running the ball, you're going to be in for a costly game for Lamar and turning the ball over. I think he'll try to do too much.
mhm. And even building off of the Baker Lamar comparison, the game against Dallas, I watched 2 drives of Baltimore on offense, maybe 3. And I've seen it in other games this year, against good defenses, granted, but he makes throws where you don't expect him to make it. You're kind of like, well, all right, that was like, he makes throws where it seems like it's crazy to call him not a good passing quarterback, but then he misses easy throws. I saw
Right.
him miss 2 or 3 easy throws against Dallas, and good thing they were playing Dallas. That's not going to, couple throws aren't going to cost you, shouldn't cost you in a football game. Could, but usually shouldn't most of the time. But I've seen him wide, tight end right across the middle, wide open, misses them. So I mean, we've seen that with Baker a little bit this year. Is Mark Andrews playing? Is the real question.
So I have the injury report pulled up. So how about I just show you all that really quickly, and we can go
That's my
over it.
biggest question.
Yeah. So
I think
we'll look at our team right now. So Conklin on here, Hodge out, Hooper neck. This is worrisome. Just because of how crucial he is to
Justin,
taking.
do we have the worst? Do we have one? Do we have a bottom 5 training staff in the NFL?
I mean, I just don't know that you can equate that to that though.
But what's up with all these phantom injuries? Where do all these phantom injuries come from? When did Kadero Hodge get hurt? He's been out like this is like the 4th week he's gonna miss, 3rd week he's gonna miss. We don't
No,
even
this is
they
only
don't
the
even
second
talk.
week.
They don't even talk about Greedy Williams. They don't even talk about him.
Yeah,
And
Greedy's
is Jacob Phillips? Is he healthy?
yeah, Jacob Phillips healthy.
Did he play last week?
Yeah, he played a little bit.
How many
He's a
snaps?
backup. I mean, he's a backup.
Yeah, but I mean, our linebacking is
And he
not
does
very.
special teams. So, well,
That's
yeah. I
true.
mean, they're weird about how they do the defensive rotations, in my opinion. But Hodges only out for the second week. This is only the second week that he's been out.
You sure?
Yeah, Hooper. That's a big one because then you go down to you got to go to
Yeah, he
rely
just gets hurt
on
at practice. Like,
yeah, Njoku and Harrison Bryant. Who Harrison Bryant's probably um beating himself up about the past couple fumbles he's had. Landry, typical. Shredder, typical. Ward out. This is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then down here, Calais Campbell, very, very,
that's big if you don't play.
yeah, that's huge for us.
Our
Huge for
run
the running
game,
game.
yeah, everything gets a boost.
Mark Ingram, he's going to play, I guess. Levine, I don't know who this is, to be honest with you. Don't
I
know
think
that
that
he's
guy's
this.
I think he's a starter, maybe.
Is he?
He
That's
might be.
interesting.
Sounds familiar.
41 is just not a recognizable number for me. This will be interesting. McPhee, not injury related. Marcus Peters, not injury related. Smith, questionable. That would be a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
Concussion, full, questionable. It's just you got to play with what you have, and the Browns have been doing that consistently this year. Hooper would be it would be a shame to not see him play because he does a lot in the blocking and taking the eyes off of a lot of other guys. So, but honestly, the big key for this game is Kevin Stefanski's play calling and seeing how he works with what the Ravens are giving him. Because last week he coached the most phenomenal amount of first half game or calls I've ever seen. I mean, he just went with the flow and really elevated the team to a height that we haven't seen in a very, very long time offensively. So, Baker, he's just got to do what he's been doing for the past couple of weeks, make smart decisions, don't turn the ball over. Obviously, he had the fumble, but throwing the ball wise, don't turn it over and just be efficient like he always has been. And offensive line needs to they need to man up and kind of if Calais Campbell's not playing, you gotta pound the run game.
Play like they
So
did last week. No, didn't give up sack.
yeah,
That's all you could
so
ask. If the run game is mediocre and you don't give up a sack, it's fine with me.
yeah, so there is one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Jeff, and I texted to you a little bit. One of our buddies from high school, Danny Gutierrez, texted me about we got the Giants game flexed to Sunday night prime time.
Love that. That really
Yeah,
pisses off the Steelers fans too. That's my favorite part about it because they've been wanting all their games flex because they're undefeated. Swear to God, literally 5 days. They'll literally win their game and they'll be looking at the schedule, be like, why isn't our game flexed? It'll be 2 hours after the game, like Roger Goodell has any sort of competence in between to both of his ears. I hope
They're
everybody's
a
watching.
boring team to watch,
They're
though.
so well,
They're a
their
boring team to
offenses without
watch.
James Conner, their offenses not very good.
Yeah, and I don't even think
Okay.
James Conner's great, but so the thing is, the Giants, they're an interesting team. We're an interesting team.
Mm-hmm.
The story there and everything that I'm gonna say now is just kind of for discussion's sake, but 2 years ago we traded for, I guess it's a year and a half or whatever, but a year and a half ago we
Mm-hmm.
traded with them for Odell, and obviously Odell's hurt now, and we've been playing very well without him. But when he's
Very well.
in, the team is considerably different. The play calling is
It's
considerably
it's
different.
weird. It's weird.
Baker's decision making is different, and I wanted to ask you. You are pretty consistent about your opinion on what we should do with him. Not like what we should do with him, but the fact that you don't want him on the team next year. Can you just talk to me a little bit about why you think he's had this drop off? Is it because Baker's trying to just force it to him? He's trying to force him into the game, or has Odell just kind of fallen off?
All right. Well, it probably sounds like I don't want him on the team next year. I don't. It's not that I don't want him on the team. It's that I have the same philosophy you hear me talk about with people on the Indians. I don't care if we trade them.
Yeah.
Especially, baseball is different, football is different. I always say that. It's kind of like my catchphrase is that baseball is different than football, obviously. But both those sports really don't need one guy. One guy doesn't really make you go. He can, if you have a great top 5 quarterback, that's going to make you go. But if your O line sucks and he's on the ground the whole game, that doesn't really help you, obviously. So if we trade him, I'm not upset. I'm really not. I hope that, Jarvis Landry, he could, understand that it's a business. That's probably the biggest factor of trading him, which that's a point you have made in the past, which I wouldn't even have thought about because they're boys. But, that is something you have to take into account. But I mean, it's a business. We're not here to cater to people's feelings. You don't start a great organization by catering to everybody's feelings. It's not how it works. But has he fallen off in talent? No. But the goalposts have just shifted.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of reasons. Because his quarterback was Eli Manning. That's what a lot of people, I mean, that is true. A couple of years ago, Eli Manning was still the quarterback over there, which deep ball guy.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. And Eli Manning was a deep ball quarterback, better than Joe Flacco, but very comparable to Joe Flacco. Yeah. They kind of just throw the ball downfield. Sometimes they get a pass interference. Sometimes OBJ, famous catch, It's how Tom Coughlin operated most of the time. So he goes from being basically the only guy over there. I guess they had Victor Cruz a couple of years, maybe.
Not even like Victor Cruz is Victor Cruz is there and maybe relevant. Odell's
year.
Odell's rookie year.
That's when I think of those Giants teams, I can't think of any other supporting cast. Now
Victor Cruz.
Move him over to this team that is pretty run heavy since he's been here. It's been pretty run heavy. And 2, it actually has good supporting cast around. You got Jarvis Landry, you have Hooper, and I would also throw in there that Baker Mayfield is advertised as a gunslinger, not a deep ball threat. He could throw the deep ball. It's not like I have faith in the guy throwing the deep ball, obviously, because I know he's got a hell of an arm. But that's basically the goalpost of him shifting away from being, when you're the best player out there, you're going to look like a stud. You have the chance to make all the plays, this, that, and the other thing, which could come back to bite you with football, because if you're the best wide receiver, they're going to put the best defensive back on you. But I mean, it's kind of like some guys just can't change. They can't make the transition. I'm not saying that we could write the OBJ situation off as that so far, but I mean, it's kind of like basketball. Like if you're the guy scoring 35, 40 points a game, and then you get put on a team that other guys could score, your scoring's going to go down.
Yeah, Kevin Love, perfect example.
Yep,
that's like the perfect example I can think of, and staying in house with Cleveland and everything. Mm-hmm. My thing with Odell is I love what he turned into this past year, just off the field, in the sense that he kind of just him and Baker both, they both really just kind of shut up. They didn't really say anything, And when things were shown, like them working out or them, just doing what they were doing, it wasn't anything dumb. It wasn't anything like over the top or kind of just like showy or flashy. And even now, after he's been injured, and I don't know how it's possible
It's
with the type of
crazy.
injury he had with a torn ACL, the man is like
Squatting.
at work like every day doing some sort of rehabilitation with just like crazy amount of what I could imagine is pain, because like it's just I've had teammates, I've seen players who have torn their ACLs and like they're in the knee brace for months and not doing anything. They're not walking, they're not putting pressure on it. It's ludicrous. And this guy's out here doing so much work to try to get back and try to be his best version of himself. I I just it's hard to see what Baker has done with Higgins, what he's done with Jarvis, what he's done with Donovan Peoples Jones, Kadero Hodge, the tight ends. I mean, all these guys look like stars again. Like it's back to rookie year Baker, where he's making guys that probably wouldn't be, I don't know, starters except for Jarvis, and Higgins would be like the third option, I guess, probably come off the bench or something. But he's making guys like Kadero Hodge and Donovan Peoples Jones look like straight studs. And Odell, like I don't doubt that he is a man that, if you trade him and you give him the DeAndre Hopkins kind of treatment, he might go flourish somewhere else. But at what point does like a defense, like, do defenses really take him like seriously anymore? Do defenses like actually go, oh, we need a double Odell Beckham Jr., or we need to have someone slot over as a safety and kind of cover that area of where he's in? Because it just, to
Not since
me,
we've had him.
no, not
The
maybe
the
last year, like when they like thought that he may go off,
mm-hmm,
but like
mm-hmm.
after that, this year and what we saw in the first couple of games, I would have just let him be. I don't know, just kind of like test the waters, kind of let the one-on-ones happen. But I'm with you. I'm with you on the whole. If Jarvis can get behind the idea that it's business, man, it's like it is what it is. I trade him for a pick. We're not going to get the first round pick,
We're just basically losing value on him at this point for what we gave up for him and what he's done for
and
us. We didn't
that's like part of my
him
reason
getting
for
hurt
wanting
is
to keep him.
unlucky.
That's part of my reason for wanting to keep him, though, is like
Right,
at
right.
this point, like you're not going to get anything for him. You might as well like try to work it
Mm-hmm.
out. But the thing that needs to happen is Baker and him need to sit down and have a conversation of like, listen, we want to make this work. Obviously, you want to be the best version of yourself, and I want to be the best version of myself for this team. But you got to understand that if I'm going to be the best version of myself, this is Baker. You're not gonna get the attention from me that you know. You're just gonna have to be another one of the players in the cog in the machine and go with what Kevin's calling, because Kevin gets guys open. I mean, come on, are we gonna say that Higgins
Mm-hmm.
is
Oh
a
yeah, OBJ
burner?
is most likely the problem.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, and it's not saying like he's the problem. It's a combination of him and Baker trying too much together. And,
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to make one another work, and it's just kind
But
of
it's not like
that's
anybody else is the problem. It's not
no.
like Stefanski's made it Hollywood Higgins look like. I mean, we knew that he was good, but did we
Yeah.
really think he was that good? Did we really think he was this good? Maybe some people. I always thought he was, above average for a guy that, and I always liked him because he re-signed with us. I mean, I thought that was a huge thing. But to your point of Baker and OBJ sitting down, that is the red flag for me. If that hasn't happened yet, and if it hasn't happened, that's the big red flag. And if it has happened and the attitude, the behavior, the whatever hasn't changed, then that's the same amount of red flag as I see either way. But when he was healthy, the first Steelers game, and this has kind of been a theme ever since he threw the helmet
Yeah, you
and
don't
kicked
like.
the field goal
Yeah.
whatever however many years ago. When I was watching that game, I felt like I was watching the Odell Beckham show.
Yeah.
When I was watching the first half last week, I felt like I was watching the Cleveland Browns show. So I'm cool with last week.
Yeah. I, you know, I wish the best for them. And obviously I think the talk will happen this off season because it didn't happen these past 2 years. Obviously it was I bet they've had versions of the talk, and I bet the versions of the talk have gone. First year it was, hey Baker, like let's let it rip. Like let's just fucking do crazy shit. Me, Jarvis, one-handed catches, bombs, everything. Um, Second year, it's like, all right, we need to play better. You need to get me more involved in the game, and we'll run through things. Now, next this off season, this upcoming off season, what the hell? I went out of focus for no reason. Next off season, it's got to be Baker in the driver's seat talking. It's got to be, all right. Listen, man, you saw what I did while you were out, and it's undeniable that when I played the way that I did those last couple games, that last stretch of games, we're a playoff team. And if you can come back and fit into the fold, we're not just a playoff team, but we could be contenders offensively. We could be
Mhm.
contenders. We could contend with a lot of teams. If other teams are putting up points, then we can come right back and fire away. But you got to fit into the machine. It can't be me trying to force things with you, because I work better with guys like Rashard Perriman a couple years ago, and Rashard Higgins and Kadero Hodge and Donovan Peoples-Jones. So you can
Rookies.
be, yeah, guys that haven't made a sixth round guy.
Mm-hmm.
Kadero Hodge, don't know where he came from.
Mm-hmm.
Rashard Perriman,
Strength.
another guy who was a special teamers. I mean,
Just bring them in, make them good. That's fine with me though. And it's not like I have no sympathy or empathy for OBJ. Like I know that he probably, hopefully think that he like had the right intentions in mind. But I mean, he has played a frustrating role since he's joined us. No one's really denying that. If you found like advanced metrics per passing situations, he's probably one of the more heavily interfered with wide receivers in the league. That's kind of how you defend him, though. You get physical with him, you try to get him frustrated,
get him
and then
flustered.
we don't get him the ball. When we don't get him the ball and he's open, it's bad. And then if we get him the ball and it's like pass interference or it's a no call or it's holding, then that's bad too. That usually has him frustrated. So, I mean, it's not like I have no empathy for the guy, but if he doesn't fit, he doesn't fit. That's not anybody else's fault.
It's just so much. There's so much less noise on the screen when you're watching a
Mhm.
Browns game from home, because even the announcers are just so bad about, like,
Yep.
and I can remember a couple of those games where it's just like, oh
There's no
man,
narrative.
Odell is just completely wide open, but like Baker wasn't even looking at him or something like that, and it's like, oh, it's all Baker's fault. But like, all right, Baker's got his reads too. I mean, like,
Right.
it's just it's a struggle. And obviously people in Browns fandom love Odell. Like, it's just like he has the polarizing effect that, like, I like him because I think he's a hard worker. I really do think he is a hard worker. But I can't deny the fact of Baker is a better player so
Mhm.
far without
Right.
Odell on the field. So that's going to be a storyline that I'm sure is brought up consistently next week. But I just wanted to get your a little bit more. It's always hard to kind of discern things over text messages, especially with us, because we're
Hmm.
awful about it. But I just wanted to get your take on that, just considering this was a little preview, and primetime game. Might as well talk about a primetime player. So
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I respect OBJ for the sole fact where he kind of that's why it's unfortunate it hasn't really worked out so far, because he is a guy who he didn't really come out and say it like, oh, I want to go to the Cleveland Browns, but like
but
he
he's
was,
embraced it.
yeah,
That
he's
that
willing
shirt that he
to, he's up
consistently
to it.
wears when he comes out to warmups is sick. The world
Hmm.
champion shirt that he has, it's
Hmm.
sick. Like,
Yep.
he wants to get a championship in Cleveland, and I think that's like a polarizing effect to like
Yep.
why I would like want to keep him. Like, who wants to come to Cleveland and win a Super Bowl?
Right.
Like
Nobody before him. Nobody.
right. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. So, Jeff, you got anything else you want to say before we hit it off? Cavs basketball starting very soon.
Couple hours, 90 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's preseason, right?
Let's go. Let's get it. I can't wait. I'm
You ready
very
to watch
curious.
Isaac
How many
Okoro?
points for Colin Sexton tonight? 30, 40? Do we
What's his
win?
plus minus? What's his
I
plus
don't
minus?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he only plays one quarter, you know. He's been like
No,
a
he's actually
couple.
not playing. Sexton's not playing tonight.
Is he hurt?
They're
Or
just
is it
being cautious.
we're resting him. We're resting him for the
I
regular
think
season.
I think he like rolled his ankle or like
Oh
in
yeah.
training camp or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I hate when that
I
happens.
saw
My
that. I saw that and
God.
I thought of you. Oh, this is gonna be good for Jeff. Yeah, I think the starting line is gonna probably be like
I bet we
Garland,
win. Probably win.
KPJ,
KPJ starting.
probably because Garland will start in Sexton's place, and
And then a Coro 3.
yeah, and
And
then
we'll
Love
trade
and
Drummond by the
Drummond.
break. And Love will retire before the
See,
break.
my thing with that is it's weird because like
Wait,
every trade deadline, it's always Kevin Love's out of here. And like it never happens. So like
right.
I don't know. I don't think it's. I think you watch the Cavs play these first couple games and
Mhm.
Drummond's kind of balling. They'll come to their senses.
Yeah, if we're 6-0, he'll probably be safe for a little bit. But
Whoa,
if we're 0-6, might be
whoa,
out of here.
3-3, my guy.
Either way, go 1-0 this week. The last thing I'm gonna say is that I think whatever one it is, Mr. Harbaugh on the other side, I don't think he's coached very well this year. I think Stefanski has a coaching edge in this game. I think Browns go 1-0. I think we go 1-0. I think we run all over them. Hopefully Calais Campbell's out.
Score.
Score is
Oh, actually, I did forget though. Weather. For first time
is.
since we've been back. It's
Is
gonna
it
be nice.
nice?
It's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be
prime time.
cold.
Prime
It's gonna be
time.
cold, but it's
NFL
gonna.
always makes sure the weather's good for primetime games.
Yeah, it's gonna be cold. I'm gonna be there, but it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be 35 degrees. No water.
27-24 Browns.
27-24. That's a close one.
Baker Mayfield rushing touchdown
Doesn't fumble it on a QB sneak. I'm gonna
on
go
prime
30.
time.
I'm gonna go 31-24.
Okay, if we
Get us
score
over to
30,
30.
if we score 31 against them, I'll be okay with the loss. Honestly,
Jeff,
heard it here first.
why?
Because what if it's 31-31? Tucker 60-yarder for 34-31? You're gonna be mad about that? Yeah,
Tucker missed.
energy. Yeah, but he ain't missing again. He's done for the rest of his career. So
I don't know. Tucker
he's done missing.
could be
Telling you, we
gone.
put up 30 plus against probably top 5, easy top 10 defense in the league. You're not going to be okay with that. We know our defense is not good.
But I don't think we lose then. Like if we put up 30, I don't think we lose.
Yeah.
Have we not lost? Right? We haven't lost a game since we scored 30, right?
Here's the first time for everything, though.
I don't think so. Well,
Lamar's going to have to play very well.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone. Well, that's where we're going to call it for this one. Thank you very much for being here, as always, for watching, for listening. And we would appreciate you guys if you would sub, follow, leave comments, leave likes, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.